What is up, MVPTexas.com? It's Jim Bob Breazeale from Sports Talk San Antonio on the Ticket 760 here for your Game 3 recap. Wow, that was a Spurs team that we may have not seen since 2003. Their team defense in Game 3 was astounding. It was just brilliant. Really, it was. It's the best defense this team's played all year, and it hasn't looked that good since this team was winning championships. Their team defense was brilliant last night, in part because of Antonio McDyess and the job he's done on Dirk Nowitzki in Games 2 and 3. Antonio McDyess has been in a battle for 2 games, and he is making Dirk Nowitzki work for everything he gets. Now, Dirk was great last night. Dirk was phenomenal. He was Dirk, 35 points. But he had to work for every single one of the shots that went down, and he made some ridiculous shots. But, you know, Antonio McDyess is making him work, which the Spurs didn't do in Game 1. The key to the Spurs turnaround has been twofold. It's better team defense, and you know, Tony Parker was brilliant Games 2 and 3. There was a lot of people in San Antonio that were not on the Tony Parker bandwagon. They thought he was useless. They didn't think we needed him. They were all about George Hill. And Tony Parker in Game 2 and 3 is just pretty much silenced his critics, and he was brilliant last night. He hit some big buckets in the fourth. The story of the game, though, is Manu Ginobili. That dude is pretty much kept in check for 3 quarters. He breaks his nose in the third quarter, and he comes back, and at one point in the fourth quarter, it was Manu Ginobili 11, Dallas Mavericks 10. Manu was a beast in the fourth, and he did it with a broken nose. He had 2 long cotton strips shoved up each nostril and tape on the outside to keep them in there, just to stop the bleeding. He's got a nasal fracture. He had a CAT scan on Saturday morning. It was negative. It shows a nasal fracture, but he is going to play on Sunday in Game 4. No word yet, I guess, if he's going to wear a mask. I guess Pop said today that was going to be determined probably sometime before, sometime Sunday afternoon. But Manu was Manu, and Tim Duncan was Tim Duncan, and Tony Parker was Tony Parker. And for the Spurs to succeed in the playoffs, that's what has to happen. Now, if you're the Dallas Mavericks, you've got some soul-searching to do. And I didn't think at the beginning of this series that the Spurs had a chance. I thought it was going to be Mavs in 6, and I thought the Spurs' championship pedigree would have got them 2 games. That they're just wise enough, they're experienced enough, they have the heart of a champion, they're not going to go down fighting. I figured they'd give them 2 games. Now it's totally different. There are Mavs people, and by say people, I mean people in the media that I know, that have said they think that this game Sunday is perhaps the biggest game in the last decade of Mavericks basketball, because if they lose on Sunday, the series is pretty much over for them. He doesn't think they have a chance. So if they lose Sunday, everything that's been said about this team for the last 10 years, about it being soft, about it having mental issues, it all is validated if the Mavs can't pull out a win in San Antonio on Sunday night and go down 3-1 heading back to Dallas for Game 5. It's a real possibility, the way this Spurs team's playing. Richard Jefferson only took 3 shots last night, and some people are going to give him a lot of crap for it, but he plays great defense the last 2 games on Jason Kidd. Jason Kidd didn't do much last night. I think he was 1 of 7 from the field. Jason Kidd has been guarding him a lot. Richard Jefferson has been guarding him a lot, and he does a great job. It's just the team defense is the story of why the Spurs are winning, and they're making shots at the end of the game. And the Dallas Mavericks played a great game in Game 3. They were good, and they fought and they battled hard. They just didn't come up with a win. And I think it's beginning to Caron Butler got benched for the entire second half. There are issues within the Mavs locker room, I think, that need to get figured out. They need to get their head right for Game 2. They got head problems. They got heart problems. It's gut check time for the Dallas Mavericks. And if you're the San Antonio Spurs, you're sitting pretty, and I think you like where you're at if they continue to do this. George Hill was the 4th Mohican last night. He had 17 points. And probably another interesting stat from last night, Spurs did not make a single 3-pointer and still won the game 94-90. They were 0 for 7 from 3-point range last night. And for the Spurs, a team that normally takes about 20 3-pointers a game, for them not to make any and still win is huge. And it's cause for concern if you're the Dallas Mavericks. So Spurs up 2-1. Game 4 on Sunday, and I'll have a preview for you then on Sunday afternoon sometime. Until then, peace.